Robbie Mustoe, Tim Howard here in the studio. I'm Rebecca Lowe. Tim, a draw and a defeat for Ruben Amorim. How do you rate that start?
Not great. Not great. My expectation was, having seen what we saw at Old Trafford last weekend against Arsenal, they would come here and not steamroll Fulham. Fulham's a good team, but have their way a bit more than they did. And there were moments I thought that United played well in the game, but overall, there were moments that Fulham played really well too. And you just expect United to control this game, and it didn't happen. It got loose. It was a little bit off the cuff at times. And I'm so used to having watched them during preseason opening weekend that there is a game plan, that there is a way that Ruben Amorim wants to play. They lost that a little bit today, and so not worrying, but disappointed.
We saw progression last weekend, didn't we, from Manchester United? Did you see any of that today?
No. I thought the start of the game okay, first 15, 20 minutes, but the second half was a realisation that two new players in the side is not going to change that much. So be holding on against Fulham at this point with the money they've spent is disappointing for United fans. And the fans are brilliant. Man United fans are brilliant. They clap them off. But that's not good. Ruben Amorim didn't look happy walking off there. He expects his team, Rebecca, to control more of that second half, to be the team looking to win it. And some of the moments, some of the little details that it's easy to look past, so we're not going to look by them in these highlights, shows the weakness in certain areas in the midfield, at right wing back, that cost them today. So they are desperate. They brought all these attacking players in, a huge amount of money, but there's glaring holes in the middle of midfield where they need two players. Casemiro adds nothing, and he's won more things than I could dream about winning, but he adds nothing to the midfield. Ugarte is meant to be a steel-like guy. He doesn't play Tim. Mainu can play a little bit. Kobbie Mainu, we don't see him. They need central midfield players, or play another guy in there to make three, because they are absent so often.
Let me just touch on that, Bex. So we heard Ruben Amorim talk about, and I think one or two of the players said in preseason, they're finishing their attacks too fast, right? And what that translates to is what he wants his team to do is what City do best, right? They get around the penalty area, they camp out,
sustain,
right? But what that points to, and the best teams need two midfielders behind the ball that just take care of it, put out fires, that regain possession, that facilitate, that allow those front 4 or 5 players to camp out and get around the box. They don't have that, and so that's where it's missing. So, like, even though he's frustrated that he's not getting these attacks that are sustained and slowed down in and around the penalty area, he doesn't have the midfielders to do it, and he knows that.
Does he just need one new midfielder?
2.
And what kind? Talk of
generals. What I'd say is a general. Not a fancy, clever player, but a player that can do a little bit of everything. Of course, in the past, United have had incredible ones. I had a manager, Brian Robson, played against Roy Keane. Players that could do everything. Could tackle, could pass, could score, could lead, could command, could Paul Ince was another one that would just rattle everybody. They need help in there. Instead of all those front players that you know.
Quite frankly, the top teams in this league have him. Tonali at Newcastle, right? Is McAllister, Rodri, and McAllister at Liverpool. Gravenberch, you know, so I think of all the top teams.
Ugarte was meant to be that person.
He was. And Stephen Warnock correctly said that. He just doesn't have the. He's
not good enough footballer.
A bit tough, but he's not a good enough footballer to. But you look at the top teams, the person you're explaining, they have those players exist, and United don't have them.
Just quickly, Rob, if they get those two players, where does Bruno fit in after that?
Well, we've got a little passage in a minute we're going to show where he is playing as a central midfield player, and it shows his weaknesses. I don't know where Bruno's going to play. He's a 10. They've got 2 10s at least. Where's Mason Mount going to play? They've got all these 10s and no 6s and 8s, and by that I mean central midfield generals to be the...
From that interview is that he said they scored, and then he felt as if they felt, the players, that they need to defend that lead.
Probably because I think after finishing, 15th last season, you know, they want to find a win game. So you get ahead, and then you think, all right, well, maybe we'll find a way to protect this. But for the first 15, 20 minutes, I thought they played fantastic. You had 3 huge opportunities, and that's because they just played, focused on how they want to play. Mason Mount got in some good positions, and then they scored, and then they just dropped off, and Fulham controlled the game. And if that game would have gone on any longer, Fulham probably could have won it. So I think in that sense, he nailed it, Ruben, and he's spot on in his analysis of the game. They kind of stopped playing, allowed Fulham back into the game when they should have just gone and tried to win the game and get a second goal.
Does that speak to the fact that they've won only once in their last 11 league games going back to last season?
Yeah.
And as he said, when they scored the goal, they were already thinking about the result.
5 wins in 24 as well in the league. He's trying to change the culture. The players that he's brought in are very, very good signings. The likes of Cunha, the likes of Ruben, they will change things. My worry watching that Man United second half performance is how they drifted out of the game. That's when you're looking for your players who have an impact to produce a moment, to run hard, to try and get on the ball, create things. I think the effort was there in general. I think he's spot on in his analysis there, Ruben Amorim. But I've tipped Man United to finish 6th. I thought the improvements would be a little bit sharper and a little bit better. I know it's only 2 games in. The performance when you play first day of the season against Arsenal at home, the adrenaline's there. First game of the season, everyone's on a high. You can perform. And they should have got something out of the game. The acid test for Man United to see where they're going to be at the end of the season was today. They had to win that game today. And the fact that they took the lead, dropped off, and as Owen said, it was Fulham that were going to win the game, that'll be a big worry.
Well, who are you hoping to see more from today then, Owen?
Well, I think for me the biggest worry is I love Cunha, I love Mbeumo. You know, Bruno, we know he had a bad day today. The one thing, my biggest worry going forward is the goalkeeping situation isn't addressed and the striker position isn't addressed. And I've never seen a team win without those 2 positions, with top players in those positions. So maybe they're going to address that in the next week. Maybe someone comes in, they don't. But I think goalkeeper, striker, he's got to address first. I think that the 2 in behind, Cunha and Mbeumo, are fantastic. But I think the 2 at the top and the back, they need to be addressed ASAP. Because if you look at the fixtures coming, you know, obviously Burnley expect them to win. But City, Chelsea, you know, they are really, really difficult fixtures.
Yeah, and then Liverpool 2 games after that.
Him producing these big moments, as he has done so many times, these important goals for Manchester United. Other players need to be taking responsibility as well.
It is the truth. So many times he has been the saver, able to actually create in difficult moments where he was pressing, when he was like trying to do the leadership and all those things. So we ask him a lot. And what has been sometimes the focus, it was about this kind of behavior, lack of maybe calmness in a very important moment. So I do think that it's something that is part of his game. I remember playing with René, and you can't calm those players. You know, it's part of their almost DNA and what they need to fire, to have like that creativity. So it's something I won't say to him, oh, you don't do this and do that. No, I think